Oh, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday Morning Metrics. This is Rebecca Bernick. I am the founder and big head of Office Heads. We are a financial management firm located in Evanston, Illinois, and we jump on Facebook Live every Monday right around 10:30 Central, and we talk about metrics and numbers and small business. So today's kind of exciting because last week we talked about revenue. Here we are, the second month of the year already. Last year we talked about revenue, or last week we talked about revenue, and that's a good segue into, okay, what about sales? So I'm very excited to have my very first guest at Monday Morning Metric, Dee Fish of Rockstar Consulting. Hey, Dee Fish, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Okay, so this is kind of a week of celebration as well, sort of, if you want to stretch things out, because Office Heads celebrated its 10-year anniversary in August. I celebrated my old time. My birthday was yesterday.
Young.
I feel young. And Dee Fish, Rockstar Consulting, celebrated 14 years. Is that correct?
13. We just became a teenager on Friday.
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Very exciting. I met Dee Fish, one of the first people when I started Office Heads back in the day, about 10 years ago. And he was the one that, if you've ever heard me say, oh my God, when I first started, I didn't know there was a sales process. Dee Fish was the one that kind of said, yes, take a deep breath. It's okay. You can handle this. So here we are today talking about sales.
Mm-hmm.
But before we jump into that, Dee Fish, why don't you talk a little bit about your practice? Because, you do sales consulting, you do a lot of things. You're an author, you do a lot of things. So why don't you
I do.
share your story a little bit with those people out there in Facebook land?
Sure. So I am an author, speaker, coach, consultant, and all-around person who helps people improve their business skills. Rockstar Consulting's been around for 13 years. We do specialize in working with small business owners, entrepreneurs, and salespeople around the sales process, sales management, sales coaching, anything that has to do with getting better at bringing in business. And I also do a lot of writing and speaking around networking and relationship building, especially in this day and age. How do we put digital technology together with old school communication skills? So that's what I do.
That's awesome. All around, how do you get out there and talk about yourself and get some sales? It's all wonderful.
Yep.
Okay, so we have some questions here that I want to ask you, Dee Fish. So first one, let's. What are some of the mistakes that you see professionals make when they're out selling?
Sure. So this definitely applies to a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, people who are running their own show, is they make the same mistake you did. They didn't think there was a sales process. A lot of people try to sell on hope, right? And they make the field of dreams mistake. If I build it, they will come. And I think one of the biggest things to remember is that you do actually have to go out into the world. You do have to start conversations with potential customers. And you have to draw people through that process. And one of the biggest mistakes I see, even above and beyond all of that, is they don't ask for the business. A lot of times we're reticent to actually go, hey, it looks like we can help you. Would you like to work together? And there's a lot of business that gets left on the table. So I would say those are some of the glaring mistakes I see over and over again, for sure.
Well, I remember, okay, so funny looking back and realizing it was really 10 years ago. When I started Office Heads, I used to have a ton of coffee dates, right? Coffee sales days. And I was so excited and so passionate about what we did. I would sit down and go, this is what we're doing. And I would talk. And everybody would go, yes. And I'd go, see ya, and I would leave. So exactly what you're saying is there anything that we can do for you? I just never did that. So basically for the first probably 6 months to a year, I was very, very highly caffeinated and didn't have a lot of sales.
And that happens a lot. I think the other big mistake we often make is we talk about what we can do, and we're passionate about the services we provide, but in the end, it's all about what we can do for the other person. So I think what's really important is that you're asking a lot of questions. You're really diving into that other person's business and their challenges, because if you want to sell, the best thing to do is find out what's painful for them, what problems they have, and then be able to say, hey, I think I can help. Just like you working with your clients are like, hey, you've probably got some money issues. You don't know what's happening in your business. we can solve that pain point. Would you like us to do that for you? And
Yeah.
then, bam.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
I see that over and over again.
So just not talking about you and what you can do and how great you are, but what you can do for them to alleviate their pain.
Exactly.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, so let's go on to the next question, and this has to do with one of the books that you've authored. You've authored many books, and so one of your most recent books is Hyperconnected Selling. Hey, there you go.
I got all my books around me.
So in Hyperconnected Selling, how do we as small business owners actually sell in this hyperconnected environment? And explain to us what hyperconnected selling is and how we can actually succeed in this environment.
Yeah, so the hyperconnected world that I'm talking about is simply one where buyers have a lot more of access to information, right? It used to be that when we were selling to people, they might not know about your services. They might not know anything about you. So you calling up and trying to sell something to them made sense. It was very transactional. But now, I mean, if I want to find out about Rebecca, if I want to find out about Office Heads, I can do a bunch of research on you before I ever decide to call you or not call you. So it's really about moving from a transactional mode of selling to a relational mode of selling. And this actually is a place where I think small business owners especially can really excel, because one of the things you want to do is go, how do I actually create relationships and value before a customer actually even needs what I provide? I talk about being a micro influencer. So finding your niche, the people that you do serve, and then just being around, being a resource, being an expert in that space, so that when they do need something, you're the one who they reach out to. I call it being a sales Sherpa. And kind of the fastest way to describe it, or the fastest metaphor, is if you're a mechanic, you can't go out and be transactional in how you sell, because people only need you when their car breaks. So if you can put information out there, if you can say, hey, whenever you have questions about cars, come to me. When their car breaks, you're the person who's top of mind. So you want to do the same thing with your with your sphere of influence. And again, create yourself, give yourself that brand as a person who can help them make the buying decision when they're ready to go.
That's a great idea. Because again, this is my experience. There's so many people who go into business based on passion because there's one thing that they do, and there's all these other things that you have to do around it in order to make your company a success. On my end, it's financial management, knowing your numbers. On your end, you actually have to get out there and not just do what you do, but to sell and to get your message out there and to create relationships. And especially, I think, with somebody who's delivering a service that isn't relationship based, you have to do some extra work to build that relationship and have that communication and content out there.
Oh, absolutely. And the reality is, if it's purely transactional, you're going to lose business to an Amazon. You're going to become commodified, and it's going to be really challenging. So figuring out what makes you unique is going to be a really important part of the process. Because again, we have so much information at our disposal, but that doesn't mean that we know how to buy. And so the buyers are really looking for people to help them through that process. So the more you put yourself out there proactively, the more effective you're going to be.
One of the things that I've learned throughout my learning how to sell is it's kind of like people want to be told what to do. So I think at first, when you're not used to going out there and asking for the sale, hey, would you like to work together? They hear the information, and you kind of say, this is what I would do if I were you. And they kind of want to be led along because there's a lot of information out there. And especially when they're in their little pod of pain, right? They just kind of want to go, I just need help, and tell me what to do. And so you have to kind of break out of where you are and not be afraid of asking for the sale, not being afraid of telling people, hey, we can help you, and this is what I would recommend. And then that right there builds relationship. It builds trust.
Absolutely. If you go to a doctor, you're assuming the doctor knows more about how the body works than you do. So you want the doctor to say, hey, if I was you, I'd probably go have this surgery, or I'd probably get this taken care of, as opposed to just, again, not leading you through the process. We need to kind of take that same approach with our prospects and our clients as well. And if they say, if it's not a good fit, that's fine. They can always say no. There's nothing wrong with that. but you can't just wait for them to stop and go, oh, can I buy from you, please?
Right.
You got to take that first step for sure.
That makes great sense. Okay, so here we are. As I mentioned before, it's like February already. I don't know where January went, but we're 1 month into a 12-month year, 2019. So what can we small business owners on a sales perspective do now to maybe not ensure, but to give us a better chance of having better sales in 2019?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One is I would go back to those New Year's resolutions you set for your business January 1st and actually try them in February, because more than likely you've stopped trying to improve. You've gotten frustrated. Go back to those and try just for the month of February. Very few of us are totally confused about what we need to be doing. We know, we just don't do it, right? Or we know what we shouldn't be doing and we keep doing it. Something I tell my clients all the time: there's no secrets to success. The people who are selling you secrets are just selling you something. All right. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would do, and you still have time, is go to your 2018 numbers. Look at your revenue. Look at where it came from, and try to do a breakdown by maybe advertising type or marketing type, or were these referrals? Was this existing business? And even just getting a high level breakdown of where your sales are coming from lets you know where to put your time and attention. So, and this happens quite a bit, where you're like, oh, I think speaking is a way that I'm going to get clients for my business at, different events around town. And you put a lot of time and energy there. But if you look back at your numbers for 2018, you're like, oh crap, actually 80% of my business just came from client referrals, and I spend no time on those. What if I cultivated that instead? So that's a very easy, again, very high level, but it takes you an hour or two and can give you a ton of information, because that's where you can find out where to put your sales energy throughout the year. So that's a big one I would do.
I love that answer. I am such a data girl, which is, no surprise. I mean, I could geek out on Excel and take all my numbers. And so, yes, you have this great idea and you put some time and effort into it. And then once you have the numbers, take the time to put your CEO hat on, get out of that do mode, and look and analyze and diagnose those numbers so you can learn from your past, and then you make a good plan for the future. And in this case, it's about sales. Where should you put your time and energy when it comes to sales to get the best bang for your buck?
Yep. And you don't have to, a lot of us aren't as data driven as you are and don't get as excited about Excel spreadsheets as you. And that's why I tell people, even spending, let's say 2 hours, an hour to get the information. And I love what you said, put on that CEO cap and think a little differently, think strategically, and go and just spend 1 hour. That hour can help you leverage so much more of your time throughout the year. But that's something I do, and it's really effective.
And I think too, I think I actually stole this saying from a salesperson, which is, listen, the sales process is not rocket science. You need the process and the discipline to implement it. I use that with financial management. I think I stole it from a salesperson, because it's true in both sides.
Oh yeah.
It's not that hard, but you have to have the discipline and the thought process to do it. It's the same thing when it comes to being strategic. No, as a business owner, no one is going to tell you to take, Friday afternoon off to go be strategic, sit in a quiet room and think about your business differently. You have to have the discipline to do that for yourself and just remove yourself from the chaotic day-to-day, the operations of a business.
Right. Or get a coach that can help you do it. I know one.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I know you do one-on-one coaching, but you also have a new program. So for anybody who's listening who wants to, say, hey, I need some help with my sales, talk about this new program and how you can help people with their, implementing or improving their sales.
Yeah, so we have two programs specifically for business owners around sales. As you mentioned, we do one-on-one coaching, which is deep dives into how you run your business and the strengths and weaknesses you bring to it. We also have a group coaching program, it's a small cohort of small business owners who are all working on the same thing, building up their sales skills, their sales processes, and their sales execution. And what's really not necessarily unique about our program, but it's definitely relatively rare, is we do look at process. So we are creating sales structures. You said it is a program that you have to put in place, but also looking at how you as the business owner actually engage with that process, right? Because all of the strengths and weaknesses we have as individuals are the same. We don't hang those up when we become a business person. So we have to figure out, right, how we can, if you're not disciplined at home, you're not going to all of a sudden become disciplined in the office. So sometimes you have to booby trap yourself for success. Again, it's really about engaging with the program and finding success for yourself. So those are two ways that we help small business owners improve their sales.
So talk to me for a second about how these programs work, because I'm in Evanston. I know you're in Evanston. Does someone have to be in Evanston and actually go to a physical place for both your one-on-ones and your group, or is it virtual and it can be anywhere?
Great question. No, it is virtual. We use phone and video chats and emails. I actually have clients around the country, which is always kind of fun. In fact, a few around the world now. So we get some good accents for sure. But yeah, no, it is all phone and video chat. I gotta love technology. From Evanston to the world, right?
I love it. I love it. Okay, so that's the end of my questions for you as a salesperson, but I do have I have one question in terms of, this is Monday Morning Metrics. So as a business owner, David, what is your favorite metric?
Oh, I have many, but I want to talk about one that you mentioned, which I love, which is how many networking conversations are you having on a weekly basis? It might be a cup of coffee. It might be a happy hour beer. It could be somebody new, could be somebody existing, could be on the phone. But one thing that I've actually used to propel my business, to becoming a teenager, is I'm very focused on having a set number of these conversations every week. Very little comes out of them directly, but so much comes out of them over time and indirectly. It's actually one of my main sources of business. So
I love that answer because, okay, again, I when it comes to picking metrics from my perspective at Office Heads Financial Management, most of those metrics, or at least the first blush, goes right through your P&L or your balance sheet. So it has to do with numbers. Your answer says, well, it confirms that it doesn't have to, your metric doesn't have to necessarily be a financial metric. Yours is a number of metrics. So, and have you learned, David, with that metric that if you have less, that your revenue, even though it's not if I have 5, I will have 2% and that person will sign in 2 months kind of a thing.
Right.
You can't do that. But have you experienced the fact that if you have 2 a week versus 10 a week, that your revenue goes up or goes down?
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I would say that one of the challenges, especially from the sales perspective, is that looking at numbers, for example, revenue and all those kinds of numbers, from a sales perspective, those are lagging indicators, right? I can't affect today what my revenue is today. I can only, that happened weeks ago, months ago sometimes. What I want to do as a salesperson is go, what activities are going to drive my future revenue? And that's why I look at it that way. And yeah, absolutely. If I have try to now between 5 to 7 of these conversations every week. And I'd say probably last year, easily 70% of my business came in one way, shape, or form from, in fact, I had a really sizable engagement last year that came from a conversation, a relationship that I started over 10 years ago.
Really?
So,
you never know.
Yeah.
Right? You
never know.
Yeah, when I created, so I think best practice for Office Heads for small business owners in the fourth quarter is to come up with a budget. And so again, and this is it's a numbers-based budget. But when you look at your revenue, it's tied to the types of services that you sell. So, and I'll speak to like Office Heads. So I need to sell 4 of this a month and 2 of this a month, and 1 of that a month in order to grow by 20% by the end of 2019, right? So that gives me an activity list. So that means rather than go, I need to sell $10,000 worth of work, it's more like 2 things, 1 thing, 2 things. So that's a little bit more tangible. But you're taking it to the next level because I know I need to sell them, but you're going to, but what am I going to do in order to sell those? That's that whole sales process is I need relate to people, talk to people, do blogs, do Facebook Lives to get people energized and to realize that when the time comes, hey, I'm going to go and call David for sales and Rebecca for finance because they're throwing great stuff out there and I meet them and I see them at events, then it all flows.
Yeah. Like if you know that you need to sell 2 of these in a month and you sell 50% of the time, you need to have 4 conversations and you know that you get for those conversations 30% of the time. When you have a lead, that means you need 12 leads. I mean, that's how you kind of keep going back and back. So then what do I do today do a blog, reach out and call somebody, send an email, whatever it is. But yeah,
Yep.
always go to activity.
Well,
You can control that.
Hard. It's hard because, we all get busy. We all get busy in our day-to-day operational lives. And then, some days you look back and go, wow, I sold my quota, but was I proactive? Was it reactive? Did it just happen? Was I doing things proactively to make that happen? And I think that's the point there is like, be proactive, know what your numbers are, get out there and do it.
That's exactly right.
That's great. Okay. So, how can people get a hold of you, David, if they want to talk to you about your services?
Yeah, easiest place is find me online, davidjpfisher.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Just search David JP Fisher, or find me on Twitter, dfishrockstar. Would love to chat.
Excellent. Well, thank you, David. I appreciate this early Monday morning of you jumping online and then chatting about sales. I usually I get to see you in person, and usually we're chit-chatting about business over a beer. So, thanks for switching up.
Next time. Oh wait, how do you know what's in here?
Oh man, I'm a little bit slow. Well, it's my birthday week, but if I start doing that now, my toast. All right, thanks, David. I appreciate it around town, and thanks everybody else. Thanks for joining and thanks for watching, and have a great and profitable week.